The Circle of Knowledge podcast is brought to you by Amplified Minds, helping entrepreneurs and professionals achieve their goals and aspirations by sharing a wealth of knowledge to you, our community of achievers. This podcast features best-selling industry resources, interviews, and the professional panel discussion by the core team at Amplified Minds. Now, here are their discussions. All right, okay. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Circle of Knowledge. This is your host, John Kovac Jr., president of Amplified Minds, founder of the Champion Circle, and I am super excited, as usual and always, to have another wonderful guest and an exciting friend on the show today. We're going to be talking about happiness and the journey to get there and her story as well. But we're going to be also interviewing her and learning a little bit more about her expertise. But I think this is going to be a super fun thing. Let me briefly introduce my friend before she introduces herself. Barbara Ellison and I met through Facebook, of all places. And Facebook Messenger, we've had jolly conversations. We've had some incredible conversations about just life and business in general. And she's been a super supportive participant in my audience for a very, very long time. But I've also just come to learn more about her greatness and what she's been able to do. Participated and contributed to a couple of books. And she's also just been an incredible asset to helping people find their happiness. And I'm really, really excited to get into this topic. We're one day after the holiday. Everybody's probably dragging themselves into work after a long weekend. And this is a really, really relative time for us to discuss, finding true happiness, finding joy. And I'm really, really excited to introduce her. So without any further ado, let me talk to and welcome Barbara Ellison to the show. Barbara, welcome.
Well, hi, John. How are you doing today?
I am doing so well. And I know that you and I were working behind stage just a minute ago, trying to figure out some technology, but I really do just love jumping into these conversations and being as casual and recreational as possible so that we can help our listeners just understand and feel, the background, the story, the humanity behind what we do. So I wanted to give you just like a 2-minute platform to just brag about your story, brag about who you are, talk a little bit about you and introduce yourself in a way to let our listeners know who you are and where you're from and why you are the way you are, because you're amazing.
Oh, well, thanks. Okay, well, my name is Barbara Ellison, although right now on Facebook, I'm known as Barbara Lunan Ellison because I am not the most techie person in the world, and I accidentally changed my name on Facebook, and they're not going to let me change it back for another 30 days. So that's why I've got 2 different names right now, and I just was like, it's just going to be one of those ongoing things that I'm going to have to deal with for a while. But anyways, but how I got to be happy. My husband, it started as kind of a bit of a sad story because my husband passed away 9 years ago. And after I woke up from my widow's fog, it was like, okay, I have longevity in my family. And so my dad, he died just short of 102. And so I said, yike, what am I going to do for the next, however many years I have. And so that started me on the journey. And I realized I had to find out who I was, who I was outside of all the labels that I put on myself, wife and mother and grandmother and widow and divorced and a failure and bankrupt and all of those labels that we've all gone through. We've all gone through stuff. So that became my focus. Who am I? And that led me to developing my ultimate happiness formula. And it's the 5-point method to get your happy back.
Okay.
And it was kind of my journey. And the first part of it, step number 1 is to find out, of course, who you are. Who are you outside of the labels that other people or yourself are putting on yourself? Then the step 2 became, finding freedom from the limiting beliefs and getting stuck. And then the third step, because that's exactly what I went through. And then the third step became discovering your purpose and your passion. What are you here for? Well, the fourth step, and then the fourth step was make a difference in the world. What are you going to do to make a difference in the world? And step 5 was, well, how do you put it all together? So this has been my journey. Well, I have to admit, when I got to the step 4, okay, Barbara, what are you personally going to do to make a difference in the world? Whoa, gee, what am I going to do? Well, that's when I realized that I am a personality science trainer. I use now personality because we cannot do life on our own. We have to deal with the people around us. So now I teach people a simple communication skill so that they can absolutely connect more effectively with the people around them, whether it's family or business, business people. How often do you hear business teams that fall apart because people can't get along?
Right.
Okay, well, let's teach you how to get along. And it's all based on the different personalities, because each personality leaves clues of who they are and how to handle them. So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do, and it is so fun. Oh, but you did mention my book. My new book is going to be coming out hopefully soon, by the end of the year. Just modern technology and all the slowdowns. People aren't working. So, but it's going to be In Search of Happiness.
Ooh,
and
I love that.
The people right now are realizing that happiness is so important. It impacts every aspect of our life, every aspect of our life. Not just our own family and stuff, but everything, our own personal things, plus the people around us. So.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember a book that I've read previously called The Happiness Advantage. Saying, there was a principle in there that I loved, that elicited the discussion of look, if you don't have a way of measuring your happiness, or if you don't have a way to control your happiness, you're going to live a long life that is literally too long because you have to endure so much more than when you just have a life of happiness. I love your story, and I love everything that you just shared with us. And I'm fascinated by your journey and how you've developed these steps over time. And the funny thing to me is my first question for you is, these steps were things that just came to you, or were they natural steps that were influenced by other people and the help of others? How did you come up with these steps to overcoming the challenges and finding joy and happiness?
The first step was just my journey. I had to find out who I was, because I had always been, a daughter, and then a wife, and then a mother, and then divorced and a failure. But then I got involved in a company that got shut down by the FTC. So then I was bankrupt, and I got attacked by a dog. Wow. And so I had PTSD. All of these little things that in themselves were not terrible, but who was I outside of that? Who was Barbara? So once I started that journey, that kind of started the journey. Because then then you start learning the law of attraction, that like attracts like. So you have to know who you are and what you want to do, so that you get the things that you want and want to do. And so that led me to the limiting beliefs. What's keeping me from attracting all the things that I want in my life? And then it was like, okay, well, now that I'm starting to attract some of the things in my life, what do I want to do with it? What's my purpose? And I always thought that purpose had to be something so big. You hear about these larger than life people that have these huge missions, and well, I'm just starting. I'm 60 years old, restarting my life, and what's my mission? And so all that limiting beliefs and stuff all come in, and we've all been through that. We're stuck, and we feel stuck, and we can't go forward. And then one day it was like, Barbara, what do you really like to do? And once I asked that question, the universe and your brain and your intuition will start to tell you. It'll start to give you little clues. Well, you know what? Okay, so number one, I want to serve God. Okay, that was an easy one.
Yeah.
Well, but then what? Okay, well, I like learning. I want to learn. And then the thing was, oh, well, I'm going to teach other people what I've learned. And so once I had that, everything that I've done since then has come under that passion. When I learn something, I teach people. I do Facebook Lives. I come on, I do interviews, I do all sorts of things to get the word out, because you know what? If I'm willing, if I can learn something, everybody can learn something, and we all learn something differently, and we all share it differently. So that became that. And then I told you that my, make a difference in the world was we need to relate to the people around us. And so that just became such a passion to me now to help families and businesses to, because when you're happy, you're more productive. And when you're happy in your family, you're happier at home. When you're happier and more productive in your business, you're making more money, so you're happier.
Yep.
It all connects. It all connects. And then once it was like, oh, this is my 5-point method to get your happy back. So it just kind of all fell into place. I know, I'm a woman of faith, so I believe that God was directing me, and so many people have said, oh, Barb, that's just exactly what they need. That's what I needed to hear. That there is a step-by-step process. That when you just do the process. And one of the things that I pride myself on is that I give people specific steps, specific tools, specific things that they're going to do in each step. Because over the years, I have taken courses where they told you what to do, but not how to do it, not how to implement it. So now I just share with people exactly the things that I do to be happy. The exercises that I do, the things that I do every day. And I'm not happy all the time. No, of course not. Absolutely not. However, in general, it's joy.
Oh man, I love hearing that. And it is so fun. And I'm speaking for myself and hopefully for my listeners, but as we talk about this and you said the phrase, get your joy back. I love it when you say it. It just sounds so cool. It's so amazing when you say it. I love that. I am curious. You and I talked a little bit before we started the show about a skit or a little activity you wanted to walk us through. I'd love to walk through that.
Do that. Okay. I'll just give you a little preface to it. When I was introduced to it, it's a system called Bank, and it's from a company called Codebreaker Technologies. They are okay. Have you've heard of Bank?
I'm familiar, but keep going because my listeners probably aren't.
Okay. And what they have done is that they have put into like all of the values. The thing is that personality science is not anything new. It's been around for 2,500 years.
Right.
Most people have done some kind of personality profiling. Like for myself, I've done DISC. I've done a couple of different DISCs. A friend of mine had one, I don't remember the name of it. It was like a 90-minute thing that it took me to do.
Gallup Strength Finder or something like that.
Yeah, I've done that one too. I've done the color wheel. I've done the elements. I've done the animals, the lions and the tigers and the bears and all that kind of thing. So it's nothing new. There's over 200 different personality things. However, the difference was when I was introduced to Bank, not only did I learn about myself, but I learned about other people, how to recognize other people. And one of the things that they have now come up with, and his name is Gladwell, it takes 10,000 hours to be a master, but then they're talking, right, yeah, it takes 10,000 hours to be a master. So we have to learn about other people, but they're also coming out with a thing called the EQ, which is your ability to handle your own feelings and emotions, but also to impact how to handle the emotions and the impact of other people around you. And so they have really realized now that, like, statistically, the people that know the EQ of how to handle other people are 70% more productive.
Oh, wow.
So what's that going to do to your business or to your family? So, and and so that's kind of where it's at. So I do a little skit to introduce the different personalities. Okay, and so you will see yourself, because we all have one that we kind of are our primary personality style. We are a combination of all four of them, absolutely. However, but once in a while it'll be like, oh, that's why I do that. People will recognize themselves in what. So we'll do a little skit, and then we'll see who's what. Now, can people interact with you, like add things to the chat and stuff?
Yes.
Because then if they see themselves, it'll be fun to see, okay, how many of each code we have.
Right.
It is always fascinating. It's always fascinating to see the different, because people will say, oh yeah, that's me. Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah. Oh no, that's my husband.
Right.
They'll recognize somebody else. And I will share a quick story of my husband and I, just to illustrate it. Okay, so let's go.
She puts on the blue glasses.
Blue glasses. Hi, my name is Blueprint. I value structure, following the rules, planning. I like discounts and making lists. I don't like clutter, and I don't like being late. I tend to become teachers and accountants and police officers. And a clue to recognize me is that I'm reserved, I'm thrifty, and I drive cars with high safety ratings. And a tip to handle me is do not be late.
I love that. Now she puts on the red glasses.
I'm action. I love spontaneity. I love winning. I love being the center of attention. I like bling. I don't like having a boss. I don't like following the rules, and I definitely don't like speeding tickets. I tend to become entrepreneurs and salespeople and actors and athletes. You can recognize me because I like bling. I tend to be fashionably late. And a clue to things that for me is I want you to notice something that I'm wearing that is designer.
I love that. And then the yellow glasses.
And then the yellow glasses. Hi, my name is Nurturing. I value being part of a community. I love authenticity. I want to be in harmony with everyone. I love eye contact, and I love fresh flowers. I don't like feeling left out, and I don't like feeling like I'm doing the wrong thing. I tend to become nurses and caregivers and work for nonprofits. And a clue to recognize me is that I give warm, enveloping hugs. And a tip for handling me is to remember the big events in our lives.
And then the green glasses.
Green glasses. Hi, my name is Knowledge. I like charts, maps, graphs, the latest gadgets. I value science and logic and technology. I tend to become engineers, scientists, and programmers. And a clue to recognize me is that I drive high performance cars. I'm a bit of a wallflower, and I am reserved. And a tip for me is to make sure if you want me to learn something, let's do it together. Okay, so can your listeners see themselves in one of those personalities?
So I just typed it in the comment section. We'll see if we'll get any responses.
See what responses they get. Because people will see themselves in an overall thing. But I will share a quick story. My husband and I, when we first got married, and this is like 25 years ago, because we were married for 20 years before he passed away. But we were going on a trip, and we had talked about a trip, and we were going to fly in from Chicago into LA, drive across the desert to Las Vegas, because he loved the experience of things. That was part of, I realize now that was part of his code. He loved to experience things. So we were going to drive so that we would come into Las Vegas. I don't know if you've been to Las Vegas, but when you fly in, you get a quick of the lights, but then you're on the ground, so then you don't see it. But when you drive across the desert from LA, you come in over the mountains, and then you see the city of Las Vegas below you in the valley. It is absolutely magnificent to see the lights. Right now it's closed, but pretty much. A friend of mine lives out there. She said the strip is empty. And so that's what we were going to do, because he's kind of he's a visual learner. He was a visual learner. Anyways, so one day I came home and I said, honey, what are you doing? Because he was sitting on the floor in our living room, surrounded by maps and atlases. Honey, what are you doing? He said, well, I'm planning our trip. I'm thinking he's going to take us somewhere like tomorrow or this weekend. And I said, what trip? You're all excited. What trip? And he said, you know, the trip we're taking, the one that we're going to fly into LA, and we're going to drive across the desert and see what stops we're going to take and see what else is there. And then we're going to come to Las Vegas. And I went, honey, yes, that trip is going to be great. We're doing that in November. Honey, this is August. What are you doing? And you know, your reaction is exactly how people react, because they can see it. He looked up at me in total surprise and said to me, well, honey, when are you going to determine our route to go from LA across the desert, all the details, cross the desert to go through the mountains and get to Las Vegas? David, when I get in the rental car in LA. He was flabbergasted. And that became such a funny story. And through our entire marriage, we would talk about that story, because in that second, we realized that we had fundamental differences. So if that funny story has a fundamental difference, do you think that played out in other parts of our marriage?
Oh, yes.
Exactly. And so that's one of the things of why I really realized that, oh, personality, because people have total differences. And we tend to attract, and the very things that attract each other to each other can sometimes turn around and become exactly the things that tear the relationship apart. And that's why when you can, but as I say, every personality leaves clues. So that's what I teach people, how to recognize the clues. Like, I can look back on my husband now and go, oh yeah, he was totally a blueprint knowledge. He loved maps, but heaven forbid, he wanted a schedule, and he planned everything. I was kind of like, oh, let's just go do it. And I'll tell you one other story. He loved to do research. He was a knowledge person. He loved to do all the research. And so we were going to buy a van. And he came and he kept coming to me and telling me about all the qualities and all the buying things of what the van was going to have and all the bells and whistles. And I finally looked at him and I said, David, when you get it down to 3 vehicles that we are actually going to go and test drive, that's when you can tell me all the details, and I will listen with bated breath and listen to every detail. Until then, do not, because he was coming to me every day. And we're gonna, and I'm like, oh, okay, so we're gonna go test drive that. Well, no, I haven't done my research yet. Yeah. So now say you're in a business and you have a team member. and those two personality traits come out. What do you think happens?
Clash.
They clash. And that's exactly it. So it is just such a fun subject to define people, because one of the things that we define, just kind of to put it into perspective a little bit, the blueprints, we consider them that they're in the box. They're traditional and they like things scheduled and that kind of stuff. The action people, they're out of the box. They don't want any rules, whatever. You know, they drive fast, they live large, that kind of thing. The nurturers, we want to recycle the box. The knowledge people, they want to engineer the box. So it just kind of is like, oh, right. And I will give you one little clue to recognize people. When you're in an audience and people, you'll say, oh, gee, how many of you, like, and I've done this many times, how many of you think that you're blueprints? And they'll kind of do this, they'll kind of like this.
Yeah.
And then, well, how many of you are actions? You know, they're up here because they want attention. Well, the nurturers will kind of do one of these. Yeah, that's me. Yeah. And the knowledge people, they'll just kind of sit there and go, and they'll just kind of slight arrogance that, oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny because it's the reaction that most people have within their type. So as I said, we are a combination of all four of them. Like once in a while, my action, let's do something spontaneous, butts up against my blueprint. But no, okay, no, let's plan this a little bit more. And so yeah, so that's what would happen to my husband and I. My nurturing, spontaneous person would butt up against his planner.
Right.
Oh yeah. So it is just so fun. So that's kind of what I do. So and I do have a free gift for people. Oh. That if they want to find out what their personality is, they can go, it's a bit.ly link. It's bit.ly/Barb code. And the Barb has a capital B. And they can go in that, and on the page, it'll say, you'll crack your code. You'll pick out what language, make sure you're in your own language. It'll mostly come up English, but there are other languages. And then you will crack your code, and you will get a free report. And it's like many pages long. It'll tell you all the things that you like, the things that you tend to not like. And it's really a cool thing. And how I'm using it is for like teams, everybody does their code. And then they talk about it. Because what happens so often, especially in teams and in families, lots of times there can be, like, have you ever been in a situation where there's a little tension, but you're not quite sure how to bring up the subject? What this code does is everybody cracks their code, then they read it. Oh, that's why you do that. Oh, that's why you do that. Because then you can compare them.
Yeah.
And then it starts the conversation, and then it just becomes fun. Oh, and it breaks the tension of, okay, oh, right. So, like I can look back now and go, oh, well, that's why David did that and why he would drive me crazy. And why I drove him crazy. David, let's do it. And he just, but no, we have to plan this, Barb. And it was tough. It was tough. So, but I'll tell you one personal story. My youngest son, he is totally a blueprint, very traditional, he loves planning. And I could never figure out why, like sometimes we would go out for lunch and he would say, oh, well, Mom, I've only got an hour because I've got plans. Never understood it. Now, when we are good, well, I'll tell you, but right before COVID hit, I started on the Monday, honey, do you want to go out hey, do you want to go out Saturday or Sunday? He sat back. Do you want to, oh, Mom, yeah, Saturday. Well, do you want to do breakfast or lunch? So that was Tuesday. Wednesday was like, well, what time do you want to meet and where do you want to go? That was Wednesday. Thursday, wow, I can't wait to see you on Saturday. Friday, it was like, hey, we're still on for tomorrow? Yes, Mom, we're still on for tomorrow. I'll meet you there at 9 o'clock. So 9 o'clock to a blueprint means 8:45. So I know that now. So I was there at 8:45. So we walked in the door almost at the same point. Walked in the door at 8:45. You know what time we left? 12:15.
Wow.
because he had cleared his whole morning for mom time.
Oh.
Instead of me trying to just interrupt his plan, I was the plan. And it has made, and that was, and so that was just before COVID. And so now we're already planning for when they open.
Oh.
We're already starting to plan because he's in his 40s now. And we had absolutely, and we do that every time now because I've learned that that's what he needs. So it's not about what we. And so it's just been such a blessing to be able to do that, to impact my family.
Wow. I love those examples. I love that story. So if I'm not mistaken, your code is you are a blueprint nurturer or?
No, I'm a nurturer first.
Nurturer first.
My blueprint and action are next. I want to I want to impact the world. That's my overall thing. I want people to be, I'm on a mission to make happiness the norm rather than the exception. So yeah, I'm a high nurturer, but my blueprint. Oh yeah, my blueprint shows up a lot.
And I love that. I love that combination because, I mean, it makes sense with your examples and your stories, but it also, it oftentimes will paint people in a stereotypical picture, and you're either this, or this. And when people say they're part of, one of their highest codes is a blueprint, they put them into this box, but not you. This combination of nurture and blueprint is amazing. It's bubbly, it's friendly, it's loving, and then it's also structured and time bound and incredible. I posted it in the comments section. I hope everyone goes and takes a look at her free code to go get your assessment. I've done it too. I'm a nurturer first, and then I'm an action taker second. I love I love everything that you said in the example about the red glasses because I feel like I'm 100% behind that, and it's just part of my lifestyle. But at the same time, I care about people more, and there's some interesting dynamics there, but I appreciate you sharing that with everybody. What's a piece of knowledge that you feel like everyone should take with them, something that they need to do, or we'll start with the knowledge piece. What's a piece of knowledge you would like everybody to know?
In total relationship, you know what? I think one of the biggest things for me that I have found is stop listening to other people, of what other people want from you. Because so often, how many people do you know that are in businesses just because their family is in a business, right? and yet they are so totally not happy. And for right now, one of the things that is a right now thing, stop listening to the news. You can keep aware of what's happening, absolutely, but do not listen to the news all the time, every day, because it's such a negative connotation. Everything is negative. Because news is sensational. You don't really hear lots of times about what all the good things that are happening. In fact, a couple of days ago, a friend of mine and we were talking about all the positive things that are going to come out of this. 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we're going to hear about the positive things that have come out of this. But right now, we're only hearing the negative things. And one of the examples that I had shared with her was when the 2008 real estate crashed. Okay, things came out of there. Airbnb was one of them. Airbnb, who in their right mind would rent a bed? And yet now you can rent a castle through Airbnb. Do you think that has changed the way people travel and the way people view their homes? So instead of a home sitting empty, hey, let's rent it out. It adds to the economy. It gives people a great thing that they can do. But that came out of the real estate crash of 2008. And yet we think Airbnb, yeah, everybody knows about Airbnb. You can rent a castle. But it started back then. I think another one was Zapier. And people use Zapier for Eventbrite. Sell it if you're in business lots of times. So it's just 5 years from now or 10 years from now, it's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of this time.
We talk a lot on this show about the usage of your time during COVID and quarantine and what has been effective and what have you done. And we've talked about, taking advantage and changing and being open to change because there's going to be a lot of change. For example, one of my hobbies is I love coaching high school sports. And I coach the track team as well as I coach the wide receivers of our varsity football team here at our little old town. And we just got an email that they've approved small practices, less than 50 people or so. But the rules are coaches can't touch anyone. We have to wear masks. We have to wear gloves. We have to sanitize all the footballs after play. We have to take kids' temperatures. And I'm like, wow, this has completely changed how coaching used to be. And the culture is completely different. I don't even know if I feel comfortable doing coaching right now because it's just like, it's a complete atmosphere change, but it's going to set the precedent for years to come. And I thought, wow, what an interesting dynamic that we live in. And it's just now starting. It's not fully changed yet. So I thought that was a very, very interesting principle. And I love what you bring up because you can find happiness in all this change, but there's definitely, things that we can do now to prepare and to see, our big break might be, a year from now because of the efforts we did during that. I just love that principle. I wanted to highlight that.
And one of the things that a friend of mine and I, we were talking about it, because I'm on a Tuesday morning in another group, and we have a show on Tuesday mornings called the Happiness 101 Show. Cool. Anyways, and so we were talking on the show this morning, and like now has like, her name is Barbara also. So the two of us, we're both huggers. We like to hug. We're both nurturers. And so we were talking this morning that has now the restaurants start opening and has coaching starts opening in your case. Are we going to hug? Are we going to feel comfortable hugging people? It's like, I don't know. And that was part of our conversation because it was like, yikes. And she said, I know. She went because with her, she lives in Wisconsin. So she's opened up slightly before Illinois has. And so she said, oh yeah, I went to get my hair done. My hairdresser and I are best friends. She said, and we both started to go to hug each other and went, oh no, we can't do that. It was just the funniest thing, just that funniest sensation of like, how is this going to change going forward? Yeah. So yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that piece of knowledge. Now, one of my favorite things to do on this show is to give you the opportunity to challenge my listeners to take action. And this is the action part, right, of our bank code here. But what's something that you would encourage or challenge our listeners to take action on that they can employ a little bit of happiness in their life?
You know what? Crack their code and crack the code of at least their significant other.
Okay.
Because that is absolutely. But for happiness, every morning when you get up, I'll give you one little tip, one little exercise.
Awesome.
And I do this. I don't have to do it every day anymore, but I do it regularly. And one of the researchers, she's a Harvard PhD, and she studies body language. One of her things is that when you have body, just have like a power pose. If you are going into a meeting or into a stressful situation, do a power pose. For women, it's like a Wonder Woman kind of pose. Yeah. For men, it's a back this. Your muscles are out. Yeah, there it is. That. For a man, women, power pose. What it does is it starts the hormones going, and you will increase your confidence.
Wow.
And then hold that pose. Set a timer for at least 2 minutes, and you will notice the difference in how you feel. It changes the endorphins. It changes the body. It changes your body, and it makes you breathe different. Your stomach is held in, the whole 9 yards, and it increases your confidence. So especially if you're going into a stressful meeting, like meeting with your boss, you're asking for a raise, whatever. Do a power pose for at least 2 minutes before you go in.
Thank you for sharing that. I will begin that this week too. I think that's really impressive and really awesome. I remember learning about the power pose when I first started reading books by Tony Robbins, and yeah. I think that stuff is just super powerful. I know you and our story began on Facebook Messenger, and we began to chat. How would you like our listeners to reach out to you if they have questions or would like to talk to you or would even just like to attend your morning show on Tuesdays?
Okay, yeah. For the morning show, it's the Diamond Factor LLC, and it's a group, and you can listen. You can listen free, and then if you want to join the group, that is perfectly good. And each day, like Monday is on business, Tuesday is on happiness, and we have like insurance, we have mindset. There's something every day, and plus we do panels every once in a while with that. And then, but if somebody wants to get in touch with me, and like I offer a free consultation, if somebody wants to know more about how they can utilize the bank, the personality, I have a text number, and they can just text me, put in their name that it's from you, so that it was on from this show, and the number is 815-345-2555. Leave me a message. This is your name, your phone number, that it came from you, and then what I'll do is I'll send them a link to my calendar, and then we can set up a conversation if they want to find out more about because with bank, I mean, you can become an affiliate if you want to use it in your business. That's all things I talk about with you, and we do that as a pre-consultation. So.
Well, thank you for sharing that with my listeners. And thank you for being on our show today and making time for this. Barbara, your energy and your light is just so attractive and so exciting. And I think that people will find opportunities to find more joy and happiness in their life. And I think that that's important for them to hear, because on this show, we talk a lot about business. We talk a lot about strategy. We talk a lot about tactics. But one of the things that we often overlook or just don't talk about enough is the personal humanity behind everything we do. There's a lot of sacrifice that goes into success, but even beyond that, it's finding your own personal happiness and joy, which I've seen worldwide phenomenon, Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk switch his dialogues over to joy and personal happiness from, just the hustle and bustle of crushing, entrepreneurism. And so I think that that's awesome. And I'm so grateful to know you, and I'm so proud to hear your story, and so excited to just share that with the world. And I appreciate you. And I was just curious of what you do. And this is my last question for you, because everyone is human and finding joy is a purpose. When you have days that just seem gloomy and down, what is the first thing that you do to overcome that day? And maybe I'll tell my listeners what you would advise them to do when even the smallest or the simplest of sad days, bad days happen. What do you usually do?
We all have days like that. I mean, there are days when I still really miss my husband. So there are days. The biggest thing, I sit down and get quiet. Get quiet within myself. Because then when you get quiet within yourself, the emotion that you're feeling, okay, where is this coming from? Why am I feeling this? And when you can get in touch with why you're feeling it, like, okay, I'm going to tell on myself. Can I tell on myself for a second?
Sure, this is you.
Last week, I had a little thing that happened, and it just caused me I'm a happiness expert. So that always likes to do that. So once in a while, but we have two sides of us. We have the happy side and the sad side. We have, everything has two sides. And so most of the time I am really happy for people's success. But the other side of that is, I kind of felt a little resentment. Okay, how come that happened with her and it didn't happen with me? And so for several days. And then it was like, oh, for heaven's sakes, Barbara, you're a happiness expert. Take your own medicine. Take your own advice. This was bugging me. And so Sunday morning, it was like, all right, I cannot go to church, and we had parking lot church. We all go to church, but we stay in our cars, and we have parking lot church. Anyway, so I said, I have got to get rid of this. This is ridiculous. So sat down. It was like, why am I feeling this feeling of resentment? And it just was like, oh, well, I just felt like I was left out, and it's like, oh yeah, there's my nurturing personality coming out. And then once I just sat with it and just said, you know what, it's okay for me to feel resentment, because once in a while, we are going to feel the opposite. We're going to feel happy for somebody, and on the other hand, we're going to say, how could that happen? Why isn't that happening for me yet? All of those things. Well, so when you can just sit with that feeling, within usually 3 to 5 minutes, you'll feel that the feelings start to lift. Oh, okay. Yeah, I felt it. I was resentful. I've been dealing with this and I should have let it go right away. Didn't, but so then all the guilt goes away.
Right.
And that is the biggest thing, when you can just sit quietly within yourself. And in fact, and where that comes from, one of my mentors, his name is Tyson Sharp. And I'm going to give him a shout out for his podcast. It's called Awaken Your Business, and it's on iTunes. And he is all about getting in touch with what's going on inside that is impacting your business. And it was like, oh, yikes, Barbara. Yeah, I was totally feeling resentful. Here's me, the happiness expert, but I had to take a dose of my own strategy. Barbara, you gotta do it. And it was like, and then like, yeah, oh yeah, and then I told my girlfriend about and be authentic.
Yeah.
If you're feeling it, tell somebody. Hey, this is. I mean, I broadcast to Facebook sometimes things, and people say, "How can you do that?" It's like sometimes because what God puts on my heart to talk about on my Facebook lives. Sometimes it's like, I can't believe I'm talking about this, but you know what? Sometimes I'm just talking to myself. I just happen to be doing it out loud on Facebook.
Yep.
Don't you feel like that sometimes? That you're talking to yourself, that this is something that you need to deal with yourself? I just happen to be doing, like right now, I just happen to be doing this out loud on Zoom.
I would say more times than I ever expected. I definitely say, wow, that was great advice. I need to freaking take that. Oh, man.
Exactly.
Barbara, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing all this incredible knowledge with my listeners. And thank you so much for just being you. You've been an incredible friend and an awesome connection. And I look forward to more developments between us. And I hope that we can, have more opportunities like this to share. And I appreciate you and your time. And I can't wait to, follow up and hear the results of everyone on our show who've enlisted in your bank code assessment. And I just appreciate you and thank you.
So yeah, in fact, next time, I mean, we can talk about how people learn. Ooh. And that's part of how you accept yourself, how you learn, and what stage of learning are you in, and why people get stuck. That's a fun topic too. So.
Okay, I'll put that on the calendar. Let's schedule that. I'd love to learn that. I think that would be an awesome follow up to this one.
It works. It's like, oh, in fact, I will share one thing. One day I was doing it in a meetup group, and there was like about 30, 35 people in the group. And one of the girls, when I got to when we were talking about the learning styles, and I said, so how many of you think this is your style? And this one girl came right on and she said, Barb, she said, I have to tell you, she said, I've always felt like I was stupid. Oh. But I realize now it's because I was trying to learn the way other people in my family were learning, and I'm not that kind. That's why I do what I do.
Wow.
When the light bulb went on for her, that I've always felt like I was stupid because I didn't learn the way everybody else around me did. And that's why we do what we do. And it has changed her life, because now she just says, oh, yeah, I'm a visual learner. She doesn't care that everybody else is, auditory. She doesn't care, because she accepts herself now that that's how she is. Light bulb moment.
Light bulb moment. Well, I could talk to you forever, Barbara. This is awesome. Thank you. Thank you again. To all my listeners, please take her to lunch.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome. And again, this has been an awesome, awesome interview and conversation on the Circle of Knowledge. Thanks for joining us.